Monday, January 11th. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, our CES Commentary Roundup.
Let's do this. So, Rim, I see you haven't put your pants on since, what, yesterday?
Yeah, they're pretty much off. I had to put them on for work.
Did you, not do any laundry? Oh, you did put pants on for work.
For work. I figured for work I should put pants on because no one at my office would have had any idea about this, except for the fact that one guy was like, yeah, there were all these people on the subway yesterday and they just didn't have any pants on. And I was like, I was one of those people. And he's like, well, what was going on? And I was like, well, I just forgot my pants. I don't know what was up with all those assholes.
Yeah, actually, on the stop right before Union Square yesterday, I also happened to forget my pants just randomly. But, the coworker that I work with the most just happened to get on the same exact subway car that I was on.
So my thing of the day from our triumphant return was, of course, the Improv Everywhere International No Pants Day on Sunday, which, as we said, we participated in. Myself, Scott, Emily, Judith, and Natalie.
I think, though, it's going to be a problem because, too many people know what's up. It's hard to freak squares when, they saw it on the news this morning or something, and people just come up and ask you, so you guys, you staying on this train until Union Square, you're going to transfer. It's there's no more, I forgot my pants.
The trouble with that is that you still get people, because remember, for all the people that are hip in the city, there are twice as many people who don't say anything, and they're just looking at you like, what the fuck?
It's true, but
New York is generally a hip and techie city, so it's difficult to get away with any sort of large public flash mob. That's why the true great flash mobs of Improv Everywhere are the private ones, like let's go to Best Buy.
Yeah, it's a good one.
That's still my favorite one.
Well, just keep an eye on their website because I'm sure they do lots of New York action that we can be involved in.
Yeah, but No Pants was very, very near and dear to me. I mean, we have our own custom No Pants card in Nano Fictionary. I should have brought that.
Oh, yeah, right, the No Pants card.
I didn't even think to.
We should have played some Nano Fictionary.
But it's funny how, they separate us into groups, and it's always great. It's very rare for Scott and I to be members of the following crowd as opposed to the people organizing at a con or an event like this. Mm-hmm. And it was cool to be in the audience of a group of people organized by someone who is very competent at crowd control.
Yeah.
I mean, he got everyone together. He did all the right things.
It was so cool how it's all they had to organize this thing was basically one website and 10 generals with megaphones. That was all they did to organize thousands of people.
He walked around and he saw people who obviously had done this before and knew what was up. And he made them team captains, gave them all a number. And in a stroke of brilliance that I never thought of, and I plan to use this at anytime I need to divide a crowd up and it's large, he asked everyone to go to the number of the group that matches the last digit of their cell phone number.
Yep.
It was brilliant. So we all split up. And in my group...
It only works if you're dividing people up into 10 groups.
Yeah, or, if your number is even or odd, there's all sorts of ways.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's,
But I go to my group, and the team lead there is like, so I need a volunteer to basically go first and be the odd man out. And I'm like, yo.
Yep.
And then I go over to Scott's
I was
group.
actually originally scheduled to go second, but the guy who was going to go first he wanted to stay with his girlfriend or whatever, so that I was promoted to going first. I
basically got on the train and looked around, and there were a bunch of normies on my car when our group got on.
Yeah, surprisingly crowded for a weekend train.
It was great. I sit down, I look around, and I just say, oh, shit. And then I just take my pants off and put them in my bag and sit back down there we go. And people just kind of look at me. I had a line so set, but no one asked me when I was taking my pants off why I was taking my pants off, because I had this surreal stroke of genius. I wanted to say, if anyone asked me, oh, well, I just forgot I was wearing them. Stephen Wright must have come to me from the grave.
So I just got on the train, and it was so quick into the next stop that I had to hurry up to take them off quickly enough. It was mostly getting the shoes off, getting the pants off, getting the shoes back on, getting the pants in the bag. It was a difficult operation.
It was great standing at that next stop, because we were the ones that got to stand out on the platform.
Yeah, so me and Ram are standing 20 feet away from each other on this subway platform.
Scott's real nonchalant. He's standing there like just a commuter guy. I'm standing there playing my DS, kind of spread eagle.
Yeah, it was cold.
It was fucking cold. Good God.
Really cold.
But it was great. One by one, normal people would walk up and their little conversations would be going along, and they'd kind of just stop talking for a minute and look around, giggle or something, and then just try to avoid all of us. But they couldn't, because there was one of us every 20 feet.
Yeah, the thing is like at the next stop, no one got on my car, even though it was the same exact car that I got off of. So I was like, uh-oh, did we mess up this or something? And then, eventually people did get on my car. I was not like left alone.
My car had a few extra pantsless people.
Yeah, and then it was awesome is like Times Square, because we only had people going down to Queensboro Boulevard, and that was our entire group, right? But when we got to Times Square, it's like perfectly timed. All these other people who I assume must have been on like the 7 train transferred onto our train from the 7. So it was like, look at all these people that's joined us. Awesome.
One of my favorite moments was I got to the place, Union Square, and I went over to the Starbucks. And there was like one guy in there other than me with no pants on, and no one really noticed him except for a few people who are kind of staring at him like, that guy's no pants. I don't know what's going on. That guy doesn't have pants either. That's weird. And I go up. I'm in line. Everyone's kind of looking at me. And I'm like, I need some coffee. It's real cold out there. And the barista's like, yeah, you look like you could use some coffee. And I'm like, iced.
You paid for iced coffee that you didn't drink.
Just for that joke. I drank half of it.
You should have just said, I'm just kidding. I don't want it.
Except I did want it.
I just wanted the joke.
It was just so cold when I got outside. I was like, all right, I cannot continue to drink this or I may die.
Why didn't you just get an actual warm coffee?
Because
just make the ice joke and don't actually buy it.
I really like cold coffee.
But it was cold out.
She got her revenge, though. She put my muffin in upside down. I was very displeased.
The cupcake.
Yeah, the cupcake.
Yeah, well, on our subway at one point there was a crazy old lady who was like, taking pictures. She was a crazy old lady. She was acting crazy, and then she got off. So.
One guy in my car towards the end was like, well, shit, if everyone else is taking their pants off, and he just took his pants off. He was just some guy.
Really? Are you sure? Or was he actually in on it?
Because he was not in on it as far as I could tell. I think everyone had the encounter where someone was like, so, what's the deal? And I just looked down. I'm like, what?
I just be like, what deal?
I was like, what? He's like, you're not wearing pants. Clearly there's something wrong. And this is still in the Starbucks. I just got my coffee. I looked down. I was like, oh, shit. And then I just walked out like in a hurry. So no pants was crazy awesome. And everyone who missed it sucks.
Yeah, I worry about the future if too many people, are...
Well, no pants will no longer be a Freak the Squares. It'll just be like a national holiday.
Yeah, I think we need to mix it up a little bit. It needs to be...
No shirt?
Just underwear only.
I'd rather wait until at least March.
We should also move it to a non-cold time of year.
But that's the point.
No, it's not fair, right? To Sydney, right? Sydney did it at the same day, which means it was really nice and warm there. They should have to move theirs 6 months over.
Yeah, they should.
Or maybe what we could do is we can compromise, make it twice a year, 6 months apart.
Here's the thing.
So everyone gets both sticks.
It's not so bad.
You know what? The people in Florida, they never have a problem. They're like, yeah, it's Jamaica. No pants day. What? They have pants in Jamaica?
It's not
I wouldn't
so
wear pants ever if I was in Jamaica.
Bad, except for the fact that we were on the end. So we had to stand on the platform that's above ground instead
That's
of the
true.
one that's
If we
below
would have
ground.
started with like the Williamsburg people, we could have taken the L, and it would have basically been like, yeah, we're underground the whole time. Big deal.
I gotta say, though, it was funny. The crowd of people who showed up to do this was very reminiscent of the crowd that showed up at PAX West.
All people our age who are cool and hip.
I mean, no
group, old people, no kids.
Our group, we were all arguing about homeopathy and all that stuff. And then these two cute, cool girls come over and they're like, hey, yeah, we heard your conversation. And that's something that's kind of up our alley. My name is blah. And we hung out. And then this guy and this girl with 2 ferrets came over. And it was quite a time.
Yeah, ferrets. Did the ferrets take their pants off?
I don't know. I've never seen a ferret wear pants, but maybe the fur counts, in which case I don't want to see them take that off because they're just kind of scraggly and wrinkly.
Go on the internet. We got to search for like hairless ferret.
Or he's got to search for ferret in pants.
Or hairless mongoose or something.
At least we didn't miss the Fancy Pants Parade. But that song was stuck in my head for most of the event, as was that Seinfeld episode with Naked Guy on the subway.
Anyway, so this show that we're going to do today is mostly about CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, but I want to talk about is that Leo Laporte, from the TWiT network, they did a big thing at CES. He would always talk about how you shouldn't go because you can just read it all on Engadget and there's no reason to go.
Yep.
But he got sponsors that sent him there, so he went. And, one day I was watching him live just to, see what he was doing at the CES, and apparently he had the biggest number of like live viewers he ever had during that time that I was watching. So something about it was, I think it was because it was Friday. It was CES. It was a big event. He was live there, and I was watching him operate, and I realized the only difference between us and him at this point, right, is A, he has a professional radio voice because he's a professional radio guy, right? 2, he has sponsors and money to buy better equipment. Now, he doesn't buy super professional equipment like TV networks, but he has more equipment than we do.
He's basically one step up from us. If I buy a better
he can
mixer,
buy multiple HD cameras. He can buy better microphones. He can buy
TriCaster.
Yeah, he can buy any number of computers he needs. Right, he can buy wireless cards to get on EVDU networks or whatever. He can buy one cell phone from every network. He's right.
Yep.
And he has enough money to hire people to help him. Other than that, like watching him operate, I was like, oh my God, it's just like when I had to run the panel all day at Kineticon, only he's running a podcast all day at CES. Oh God, I felt like I was at Kineticon again. Like he was talking about how, the convention center is so dry and my throat is dried out. And, I was like, it was like I was taken back right into Kineticon.
Oh my God, or Otakon or anything.
So just knowing that he was going through that and he was doing basically the same thing, I was like, yeah, I can do everything he can do except have professional radio voice and have more monies. So if anyone wants to give us more monies and maybe give us some radio voice training, we can put on a Leo Laporte show for you. Please sponsor us. We can put on a show just as good as he can. We've done it before. We can do it again. Call me.
I don't know. At the same time, think back to all those cons. It's real fun, and we like doing this, but it sucks.
But if you get paid big money,
yeah.
Imagine if someone. All right, you understand what his sponsor is paid for? They bought him a broadcasting platform, right? Because there's all these broadcast platforms you can buy. Like when you're at New York Comic Con, there's like up on the side, right? So they paid for him to get a broadcast platform. They had a T1 sent to the broadcast platform, right? So already that's so worth what, right? They paid for it to have like these banners hung up that was like TWiT at CES. Da, 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 da. They paid for advertising and all the programs. They paid for it. They gave him a car to drive there, plane tickets in first class.
Well, what I was thinking is
they
that
paid to get the equipment there.
We wreck ourselves at conventions anyway. So if someone paid me to wreck myself at a convention, that's great.
And they paid for the staff and the food and they went to parties and
the hey and the ho and the hey.
We're going to PAX. If anyone would like to sponsor Geeknights at PAX East/West, give us a broadcasting platform and such. The email is geeknights@frontrowcrew.com.
To remind all of you, we'll be doing a ton of panels at PAX East, and if you have not pre-registered for PAX East yet, do it today. They're going to sell out, I guarantee you. And furthermore,
we should talk about this tomorrow.
Yeah, but tech people, you should go to PAX East. 2, the hotels are almost all sold out. Get your hotel right now, or you're not going to go to PAX East.
Yes, there is a good chance that more than 10% of the PAX East panels will be by us or associates of us.
Well, the good chance is pretty much 100%, but it might be as high as 16%, depending on what we find, what the final contract is.
Yeah, it also depends on a lot of other factors that may or may not change. So we'll see.
Oh my God. But I do want to talk a little bit. There was a story about CES vendors being kicked out of their hotel rooms around Vegas during CES. And supposedly what they were doing in the hotel rooms was demoing products and basically doing what they would have done on the floor of CES.
They've always done this.
In their hotel room.
This all happens a lot.
I know, but the point is a whole bunch of hotels, according to this report, kicked them out of their hotel rooms, even the large business suites and everything, on the grounds that they were using the rooms for this. And no one can really figure out what the deal was. People are speculating that maybe CES was going after the people who were doing this, but not actually paying for space at CES.
Well, first of all, I think the space at CES was sold out. I can't confirm that, but when you look at it, they have multiple halls and they're all full, right? Secondly, it is a common occurrence. This has been going on for a very long time. This is nothing new.
This is a normal tech conference thing.
Yes.
Even tech conferences I've been to, there's hotel room suite parties and hotel room demonstrations.
Also, it's completely normal and not out of the ordinary whatsoever for what usually happens is if you have a really niche sort of area of consumer electronics or whatever, what happens is like, oh yes, consumer electronics show is at the convention center, but actually some guy rented out the ballroom at the Sheraton, and all like the audiophile companies are in there. Like there's audio at CES, but all the audiophile stuff is at the Sheraton. There's nothing to do with CES. It's just because CES at the same time, this niche sets up in a hotel ballroom, and pretty much every hotel ballroom is set up with some niche of CES, something that really wouldn't justify getting tables at the big show, but people who are into that will know to go to the hotel ballroom.
Now, people are reporting, too, that apparently all the vendors who were doing this, who had rented floor space at CES, had no problem.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've seen multiple reports of that. And this, I mean, I can't say, I don't know, but it does reek of some sort of agreement between the hotels and CES.
I think that somebody could investigate, get a lawyer, and maybe, find some bad competition, something.
Yeah, I don't know. I know I was reading.
Not a lawyer.
I was reading about all the weird laws about hotels, and there are a lot of crazy, weird laws about hotels and what they can and cannot do, and when they're forced to give you a room, and how they can't turn you away unless they think you're going to do something illegal.
Oh man, that's something I should learn, because it's like I know all the rules of like what they can do if you're renting and what they can do if you. It's always good to learn about the rules of what someone can and can't do to you. Like, what can a cop do to you if he stops you on the street? Knowing what a hotel can do to you, I think, is a very important thing that I must learn.
Well, we haven't.
What are your rights as a hotel guest?
We only really need to know that if we decide to try to ever run big room parties again.
Try to set the hotel on fire?
I don't know. On one hand, I'm kind of sick of room parties at conventions.
Try to steal some towels.
But on the other hand, it would be fun to put on a room party like in the old days at a convention like PAX, not like an AnimeCon, because no one's old enough to drink at an AnimeCon.
I think our plan of getting a hotel ballroom for the night party and doing overnight gaming is much better.
Here's the one problem with that.
If anyone would like to sponsor overnight gaming in a hotel ballroom at PAX East
or West,
Geeknights at FrontRowCrew.com. All we need is enough money to rent out the ballroom and rent a bunch of tables. We can take care of the rest.
All I have to say to that is Dvorak.org/blog.
Yeah, if Best Buy or some other company would like to, lend us a bunch of TVs and video game consoles for our overnight gaming.
To sponsor the Geeknights at PAX.
Yes. Geeknights at FrontRowCrew.com.
/blog.
No.
So, things of the day. The illustrious Daryl Surratt sent this to me, and he basically said that someone who had some shitty reporter job, this was his ultimate moment. He'd been waiting his entire life to write the headline, and I quote, "Skywalkers in Korea cross Han Solo." Apparently, there is a high wire championship in Seoul right now where they got, I think, 18 people who are professional, like walk on the high tightrope, whatever guys, and they're going across this river on this 1.2 inch thick wire.
It's the Han River.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they do it solo. It's a race. Whoever does it the fastest wins.
Whoa. What if you fall? You fall in the river.
Yeah.
Do you die?
I don't know.
I mean, if you're in the middle of the river, maybe you'll be all right because it's kind of shallow, depending on how high you are. But I mean, if you're near the edge.
To quote the article, the iron cable was supported by 72-foot-high towers on either bank of the river. A safety net was deployed under the sections of the wire over the riverbanks. Otherwise, the walkers faced a plunge into the swirling gray water.
Oh, all right. Well, it depends. How high was it?
164 feet. No, higher than that. I didn't read the whole article. You can read the article. However,
I'm just questioning whether a fall into the water meant death or not.
2 people fell into the water and they did not die.
All right, that's good.
But it was a competition, and I thought this was really cool.
It reminds me, I watched this video of the guy who was bungee jumping, and his friends were like, oh, right when he was about to jump, they were like, oh, no, wait, and they threw a rope over the edge to make it look like his rope and messed up.
That's messed up.
They're like, you thought you were going to die. Oh.
Wow, it was a kilometer-long cable.
Wow, it's a big cable.
Yeah.
Of course, this cable's a lot longer than that. They go across the whole ocean with internets.
There are much more important cables.
Yes, much more. All right.
I like the idea of competitions like this, just direct competition on something very specific and weird.
What was the winning time?
I don't know. I didn't read the article, and there's 2 pages of it. I don't want to click on next.
I would have just ran, because if I already have tightrope skills, it's all about the confidence and building up the rhythm and the, dun, dun.
I don't know. It's a kilometer. Can you even run a whole kilometer?
Oh, shit. That's fucking good God.
Because you're thinking of like when you're trying to walk on railroad tracks and you start to fall, you run to get as far as you can before you fall.
Exactly.
You got to run a whole kilometer.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I'm surprised anyone made it.
18 contestants from 9 countries.
Oh, wow. So, there's a programming language called APL. And if you would have asked me like a week ago, like, what's APL? I'd be like, it's a programming language. I don't know anything else about it other than there's a programming language called APL. But apparently APL is really good at doing like, grids and 2-dimensional array type operations, right?
Like making 2D games.
Well, basically like making the game of life. And this is a YouTube video. A guy shows you how to make the game of life in basically one line of APL. And it's like, you watch this and, like, I don't understand the specifics, of how APL works and all these things, but I can understand sort of, I can follow him, see what he's doing. And it's pretty epic. And it makes you want to learn APL, but then you go, wait, I'll never use that for anything useful. But it's still pretty awesome.
That's the kind of thing, if you're a punk kid and you're in some sort of tech school like CS or software engineering, do stuff like that.
Yeah, this is an epic programming video.
So I think we should just jump right into all the CES news. Obviously, if you want to know all of the CES news or you want the details, just go to like Engadget and read. The text is there. We're not going to talk about how many pixels wide X was and how many gigawatts
We are
Y
going to
had.
comment on how useless half of this shit is. Ha 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 ha. Or how useful a very small portion of it is.
I got to start by talking about how freaking awesome that microvision laser projector gun was.
All right, tell me about the microvision laser projector gun.
It's this projector that uses lasers, so it's super focused. Like no matter where you point it, every pixel is like a dot of laser light. Mm-hmm. It's like 800 by 400 something pixels. It's super bright. It's awesome. It's the kind of thing they're going to stick on phones soon. It's really, really tiny. So to demo it, they stuck it on a gun. And they set it up such that the gun had motion sensors, and as you moved the gun around the room, it showed you what you would see in the game. It was basically like you had a gun, and on the wall in front of you was always a screen showing you what was there in real time.
But if you're looking up, it's the gun. If you aim the gun at the ceiling, you can see the sky, right?
Yes.
But if you're aiming at the sky with the gun, you can't really see in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It was basically just an awesome demo of how crazy cool this projector is.
It was pretty cool, but it'd be even cooler is if it projected everywhere and then the gun just controlled the gun part.
Well, that's the holodeck. That's next.
They already have that. They have rooms you can do that in.
Yeah, they're not so great. I think my bag is still with the augmented reality.
For now.
But this was just a cool tech demo, and we talked about this almost a year and a half ago when the first inklings of this technology was appearing. But portable projectors within the next year or two at anime conventions are going to be the most annoying thing in the world.
Yeah, pretty much everyone projects some anime onto a wall somewhere. I mean, they're worried now about like you sharing songs with your friends, right? Or, you read that FBI warning at the beginning of a movie. You know what it says? You may not show this. You may not have a public showing. Only private home viewing only.
Dude,
what happens when anyone can project any movie onto any wall? People are going to go download a cam of like Avatar, project it onto a wall with their cell phone in 3D and hand out glasses to everybody and watch it on like the side of a building, and all the homeless guys will walk over. That is what they should be worried about. And you know what? It's nothing they can do, so worrying is useless. Don't worry about it. Just deal with it.
However, it's going to be pretty badass, because the one thing is the AnimeCon culture has some guy's going to bring like his computer and like laptop and screen and everything to play like his stupid game and show people music videos or something. And people who go to like gaming cons primarily aren't willing to deal with all that BS. With these
instead
projectors,
they'll have everyone cell phone. Basically, you'll turn your cell phone sideways. It'll be a game controller and a projector simultaneously, and you just so your friend will pull out his cell phone, connect to you. He won't even connect to you with. Well, I guess they might have to connect with Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or something. And now you each have your own screen projected on the wall, and you're playing a fighting game against each other or something.
That is going to be awesome.
So you just walk up to, bump into someone on the subway. You're like, hey, what's up? Hey, let's play a game. All right, you aim your phones at the wall and you just play a game.
However, once they're ubiquitous enough to where they're everywhere, like you can assume that most cell phones have them, like how most cell phones have cameras today. Goatsy. It's going to happen.
Oh, yeah, goatee on the wall.
It's going to happen a lot.
Oh, it's going to happen all the time.
But we're going to have to wait until there's that peak where they're not common enough to where everyone's used to them. Like laser pointers. Remember when laser pointers first got popular and for like a year, there were just red dots everywhere as soon as they got cheap enough? When they're ubiquitous and novel, goatsy everywhere. Once they're ubiquitous and non-novel, that problem will disappear.
Yeah, but people still use them for like a game on the wall or that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about all the different projection things beyond that, but portable projectors are going to be huge within the next year at the convention circuit.
Okay.
I guess I have to bring everything up. Captain forgot his laptop.
No, I got one. There was this, guitar called the You Rock guitar.
Oh, that thing's pretty cool.
So what it is, it's a guitar, but you don't have to tune the strings, and I don't think they break either because it's a MIDI controller, right? So you play it like a guitar. You hold down strings and strum them and pluck them and whatnot, right? However, it's a MIDI controller, so you can use it to control any MIDI anything, and it just has USB cable that comes into it and plugs right into the front of your computer, and you're good. And it works pretty well with, I guess, the default Apple MIDI thing. Like, that's what they tested it with, you know? Secondly, I'm pretty sure that you can play Rock Band / Guitar Hero with it somehow. Even though I didn't read how that works, it works, apparently, right? So that's already 2 things it does. 3 things it does. Right? You can sort of like, there's a dial, and you can dial up all these different instruments. You can play like, even sounds that normal guitars usually can't make. But you can like put it in like, metal mode and go da 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 da, and you can put it in acoustic mode and all sorts of, modes.
Does it have both squeedly and meadly?
It has like 10 squeedlies and 10 meadlies. And apparently you can download more squeedlies and more meadlies, right? Because it's internets. Then on top of that, it's got background music. So like you could put down like, the blues, or whatever, or like some jazz, and it'll just start making like a background music, like doom, 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 doom. And then it's up to you to play in front of that, right? So, you get all sorts of backing tracks. You could put like some, metal backing track. It'll like play a drum like, and then you go
now this,
on your own.
This is interesting in a lot of ways. I mean, think about what happened with auto-tune and how like more and more celebrity singers aren't actually necessarily that good, but you can make them sound good. And eventually the technology is going to get to the point to where you can have a fake guitar and like a microphone and everything, and you won't be able to tell that it's augmented. And basically everyone will be able to sing whatever's in their head.
Everyone will be able to be a rock star and sound like exactly what, they imagine almost.
I wonder what that's going to do for a lot of culture and media. I mean, there's no way around it. It's going to get to the point to where there will be people who will be able
Everyone's a rock star?
Or no, in the very least, where anyone who has any idea in their head that is musical will be able to get it out, at least if it's single-person music, or maybe single-person and backing tracks. We'll be able to kind of get it out there in a listenable form. That is going to kill the majority of, like, generic pop music.
Well, I mean, think about it. What if anyone in the world was good at programming? Well, there'd be no job for a programmer, right? What if,
Well, no, what would happen
what if everyone in the world could make music? There'd be no job for a musician.
If everyone in the world was good at music, if everyone in the world could play every instrument very well, not, perfectly, not virtuoso, but very well, effectively, even if they had no training, you will drive up the demand for and value of the virtuosos, the crazily talented and skilled people.
Yeah, but
you will also destroy the market for anyone who is just really, really good.
Exactly what I was going to say.
You
know what those virtuosos will be hired to do? They'll be hired to make the music and all that stuff that goes into the instruments that everyone else is playing. Right?
Dave, this is probably Dave Riley's paradise. He will just be singing nonstop for the rest of his life, wandering around the city.
Maybe, but I didn't finish telling you about the things this guitar does. This guitar, you can put it into You Rock mode. And what it does in You Rock mode is, let's say you put on a backing track that's in the key of F sharp, right? And You Rock mode. It will disable all notes that are not in the key of F sharp. And if you try to play a note that's in the key of F sharp, it'll sort of make the Guitar Hero like you suck noise, like wow, that sort of oops noise. So you put it in this mode, and you just sort of you learn which notes are available and which ones aren't, and you will always be in key, right? And it's all digital, so like your technique doesn't matter that much as long as you hit the right note. And it'll matter.
You've got to have rhythm, I think.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it'll be all your rhythm, timing, and hit the right note. It won't matter like other things because it's a MIDI controller. It's not
This is a good way to learn.
And it has a whammy bar too for like which pitch shifts if you whammy it.
You'll learn how to be a mediocre to average improvisationalist.
But I mean, and this thing is, expandable though. People are going to firmwares this thing, but they really, it's good to see someone actually take this technology that is incredibly old and actually push it to its limit. Or close to its limit, or farther along.
They're not pushing it to its limit, because you could do this a lot better in a studio.
You could.
They're taking what is just good enough for consumers and making it mass market.
They're also but I think the things that they're doing are things that could have been done a while ago. They just weren't. Someone could have made a device like this, ages ago. They just never did.
What are they going to do? I don't want to talk about this in depth. So eventually it'll get to the point where you can augment your own performances in real time to sound like whatever you want. What are they going to do when I can perform Stairway perfectly like Led Zeppelin entirely by myself? I'm not playing a recording. I'm performing.
Yeah.
What's that going to do?
I'll just record myself playing Stairway. I'll make an MP3 of me singing it.
And I'll listen to that. I won't even distribute it.
We'll listen to it. It's exactly the same as the original studio recording, if not better.
Now, here's the thing. I would have to pay statutory royalties as a cover if I performed it or distributed it.
So what, like $5?
However, if everyone just records their own version of everything, that ruins everything when it comes to IP rights.
It sure does.
But that's all pie in the sky. It's going to be at least a couple decades before we get anywhere near that.
We're still going to get much closer. In the short term, it's going to be a lot easier for people to play much better music with a lot less musical talent.
You know what I foresee? A lot more cosplay skits and improvisational fun, like public things happening that are good as opposed to horrifying.
Or no, it'll just improve the quality of no talent, the same way that like a
GTR turns a no talent driver into a doesn't crash.
Or like a better
driver.
camera can turn a YouTube video better, It's that same kind of thing. It's like, let's increase the quality of the tools, make them easier, such that the quality of amateur production will increase without necessitating amateurs learning anything.
You know what it really reeks of? It's the idea of intelligent defaults taken to the extreme. It's playing default songs that are pretty good.
Yeah.
It's kind of, by that logic, an acoustic guitar is Linux. You got to figure out all this bullshit about it.
You got to tune it.
There's tablatures, and that's even like tablature.
The string might break.
Someone using tabs, that's like downloading the RPM. You got to compile that yourself. So let's move on. Nintendo hinted that maybe they might possibly have Netflix on one of their devices.
I thought that was Netflix hinting that Nintendo would have Netflix.
And Nintendo was like, yeah. There was nothing clear here. All I have to say is it doesn't matter. It's too little too late. There's no one who wants Netflix on a device doesn't already have another device to do it at this point.
And a point that now people don't seem to realize is they don't look often at the US-Japan divide on these things, right? The Xbox had the Netflix. That's a US device. The PS3 had the Netflix. Does it even have it now? I'm pretty sure it does.
PS3 does, I believe.
It got it late. If it did, it got it after the Xbox.
It did.
Which is because they're Japanese and they don't have Netflix really. And, they might have something else, but they don't have Netflix.
Yeah.
So it's not on their radar.
Well, I think
this is why Nintendo is missing out on a lot of things, because Nintendo of America, we think about like Reggie and stuff. Reggie can't really do that much. He doesn't make any games. He doesn't make the hardware.
Nintendo of America has always known what's up, and Nintendo of Japan often will.
Nintendo of Japan is where everything happens. Nintendo of America is basically just salespeople that just take stuff from Nintendo of Japan and market it in the US. They don't really have too much say in what gets made or how it's made.
But I mean, look, in the old days, you had Nintendo of Japan saying, Americans are too stupid to play our games. We'll give them the easy modes. Now you have Nintendo of Japan saying, why would anyone want to rent videos on a console? No one does that here. Why would anyone do it in America?
Yeah. I mean, Nintendo of Europe is the same way. It's basically just a selling company. It's all salespeople, and Nintendo of Japan makes everything, and it's just up to them to sell it to Europeans, And I think in the longer run, this is going to start to hurt Nintendo, because even all these normal people who bought all sorts of Wiis and made them so much money are not buying that many Wii games. They're only buying like 3, Wii Sports, Wii Fits, and Mario. And their Wiis are collecting dust, and they know it.
Thing is, they made a profit on all the Wiis.
Yes,
so.
But in the long run, when they have to come out with Wii 2, people are going to see their Wii 1 with its pile of dust, and they're not going to buy Wii 2.
The thing is, the normal people might. The muggles might.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Nintendo's real problem.
They'll buy DS2, but I don't know if they'll buy Wii 2.
You know what? We shouldn't talk about Nintendo's problems, because that is a Tuesday show.
That's true.
There's been a lot of augmented reality stuff at CES. I don't want to get into all of it, but there are a couple of different glasses, and they all look stupid, and they're pretty poor, but I really want augmented reality to be awesome, but it's at least 5 to 10 years out, sadly. I
Yeah, I
think.
mean, MIT has that thing. I forget what it's called, but basically you have to wear this big electronic thing around your neck. And it's smaller than this kind of thing has ever been, but it's still too big.
I really just want my glasses now to have a wireframe overlay so I can tag people as stupid or not stupid.
You only have 2 tags?
Well, that would suffice for the majority of what I do. I mean, second would be having the Grand Theft Auto arrow pointing where to go when I'm driving or walking.
Yeah, we need that.
And then the stupid, not stupid tag.
All right, so let's talk about this boxy box, right?
It's really pretty.
It's a really nice looking box, right? It stands. They made it that way so that it stands out in your home media center, apart from all the normal boxes. So that way, it'll get attention if people come over to your house. And I think that was a good decision for marketing and such. It's also a pretty powerful box. It's going to run Boxy pretty damn well, considering that's all it's designed to do. And if you just want to have Boxy, this is not a bad idea. However, there is a problem with the Boxy box. The problem is that all it does is run Boxy. I could go and buy. All it does is run Boxy, but it is cheap. It's only they said it's gonna be like $200, right? But for $499 ish, I can go get an Asus EEE 1501, which runs Boxy just as well, if not better, and also is a computer with Windows 7, which means it can do anything, like run an emulator. Run Windows Media Center extender, so it could be a DVR. It can do all sorts of stuff because it's a computer. It's basically a netbook that's not a laptop, and you can plug it into your TV with an HDMI cable.
Well, there's a lot of competition in this space now, too. I mean, there's that pop box that a lot of people are talking about.
Yep.
And, I mean...
There's a company, they made this thing called the New Box. Basically, all it is a netbook, just like a net top, just like I said, only they just pre-install pretty much every media program in the world on it. And that's all it is.
Slowly, actual televisions are having more and more of this functionality just built in, even though they implement it shittily in DRM. It's there. And there's the problem that, not really the problem. I was looking at the Mac Minis because I was thinking, maybe buy the new Mac Mini at some point, get rid of the old one. I don't know what to do yet. But they very clearly and prominently suggest on the Mac Mini site in Apple now, hook it up to your TV. It's an amazing media PC. And it is. I mean, it really is. It's more expensive than everything else, but it has some of the most beautiful form factor there is for that sort of thing.
Yeah, the thing is, I think the Asus is a better choice than the Mac Mini right now because it has Windows 7.
Emulato.
It can do more than the Mac Mini can do, right?
Yep.
And it's cheaper by over $100.
The only thing the Mac Mini's got going right now is that...
the Asus has an HDMI output. With the Mac Mini, you need to get like a mini display port to HDMI converter and a special optical audio cable and a...
All the Mac Mini's got going for it is that OS X is really pretty, though that's not really a deal maker right there. Mm-hmm. And the form factor is perfect because it's completely 100% silent and tiny.
The other one's silent and tiny also.
Is it actually silent? A lot of people said it's not. It makes a little whir.
I don't know. I had to go listen to it.
Yeah, I don't know either. But
it looks silent and tiny to me.
It looks silent. So I want to talk about this really quick. The Zom
Oh, wait,
tether.
I forgot one thing, though, about the Boxy Box. The Boxy Box remote control.
Oh, my God.
If they don't sell that fucker separately, I swear to God. Basically, what it is on one side, it's, 4 arrows with a button in the middle, just like the Mac Mini, the Apple remote, sort of, only a little bit bigger. On the other side is a keyboard. Genius. Why did we have that stupid full-size, wireless keyboard in the living room all this time? We could have had a remote control like that.
Because that remote didn't exist yet, even though it should have.
Oh, God. If they sell that remote control separately, I might just buy 2.
I know. If they don't sell it separately, I might just buy a Boxy Box. Because
just to get the fucking remote control?
I'll sell the Boxy Box on eBay.
With Boxy Box, no remote control, $150.
You don't need the remote.
How else you get turned on?
So the Zom wireless tether, all it is, Bluetooth device, you link it to your phone or something. If you get too far away from your phone, it starts beeping to remind you that you left your fucking phone behind.
Oh.
I think that's a pretty cool device.
Wait a minute. So what if you forget the tether?
Well, I don't know. I didn't look into it more than that. You put the tether on your keychain.
Ah. What if you forget your keys?
Well, maybe get 2 tethers and tether them together.
I guess one thing that's good about it, though, is like if you...
it also acts as a speakerphone.
Okay. One thing that is good about it is like, okay, let's say you have the phone, but you forgot your keys, right?
Yeah.
It'll beep. If you have the keys and you forgot your phone, it'll beep. So you can't go wrong in both directions at
Of course,
once.
if you forget all of your everything at the same time, you're in the I'm one step away from being a hobo situation. There's really nothing you can do anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to get stuck outside and not be able to call anybody.
You know what I realized? If it weren't for the fact that I almost know Emily's number by heart, like I could probably dial a few
I don't know
times and
anyone's
get it.
phone number.
If I was like out somewhere, like in the street, and I lost my wallet and my cell phone, there is almost no way for me to get help.
No, not really.
I would basically have to go to a Starbucks, beg someone to let me use their computer to get on my email and message someone. Oh no, public library.
That's not a bad idea.
Public
yeah.
library.
Just go find a computer with a web browser and you're okay. Yeah.
Magic Jack has that femtocell, which is, I don't know, that whole thing, while it's shady, I foresee many, many more things like that are not Magic Jack, but are just nerds doing it on their own.
Well, I mean,
look, Magic Jack made a femtocell, so basically your cell phone will sync to it with GSM instead of anything else.
Yep.
And then it's basically, you can make calls like a real cell phone without any, like no one knows but his VoIP.
Yeah, see, this is something people don't realize is that, Verizon and Sprint with their CDMA, FDU, whatevers, right? That's all proprietary technology. If you want to connect to that kind of network, you need to buy chips from Qualcomm, the company Qualcomm. That's what they do. If you use GSM, GPRS, Edge, HSDPA, that's all open source stuff, right? There are like tech conferences in Europe where nerds just set up their own GSM networks, and handed out SIM cards.
Now, you know what's going to happen, especially if there's more white space in the spectrum and all that sort of stuff. We're going to get to the point where either nerds just put open femtocells all over the place connected to the internet, or I don't know. The possibilities are endless, and I don't want to sidetrack the whole show with them, but that is cool. And Magic Jack, while they reek of shady, they seem to do what they say they do, and that sort of thing is going to completely screw Verizon and Sprint in the long run.
Yeah.
Especially because now Verizon's saying, yeah, no more unlimited plans possibly.
Yeah. Well, another thing is that the femtocells, the original idea was that, okay, I'm an AT&T customer, but they don't really have service so much in my apartment. Maybe it's blocked by the walls or something.
Yep.
So I go and get a femtocell, put it in my apartment. Now I have good coverage in my apartment too. The problem is they wanted the customer to buy the femtocell, right? And then keep it in their apartment. It's like, excuse me.
You've got it wrong.
Fuck you. You should give me half off my plan for installing a femtocell and donating my electricity to your freaking network.
Or not just that, the idea that just give them away for free to anyone who wants them, and then you've basically increased your network a lot. You're not
without having to, for a lot less than the expense of building towers, too.
Yep. In fact, have multiple levels. Have like a tiny one that's just in a house that's kind of low powered. Have a more powerful one for nerds that just goes on the roof.
Well, yeah, you find out where someone's living before you figure out which one you're going to give them.
Yeah, I mean, say you live in a neighborhood with NIMBYs, so you get bad cell service because no one will let them build a cell tower. If you live there, just have a roof tile that's actually a femtocell, and now you've got great cell coverage.
Yep.
All that stuff is cool.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Ford syncing Google stuff. They talked more about that. There were some demos.
Yeah, the Ford Sync is looking like you're finally going to have basically a computer in your car that, does everything that your computer does. You can check your emails and your sports. And
Two items of note. The long run of this is cars that talk to each other, and you'll basically have real-time traffic data that is accurate and rerouting and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And you'll have an ad hoc network, effectively, of all the cars, which alleviates a lot of problems with coverage, internet in the car all the time. And as far as I can tell, there's a podcast button or channel to start. I think we're finally getting to the point to where in cars, which is where most people who aren't in major cities with mass transit listen to the radio now, will be able to just listen to a podcast like it's radio and not know that it's not radio.
Yeah, that was the thing I wanted for podcasting all along was, it needs to just be on-demand audio. Someone browses through a directory of audio content, pushes a button, and it just plays immediately, and all the content is in the library all the time.
Not even just that. With these cars, it's also got to have the Sirius equivalent to where someone makes podcast quote-unquote stations that aren't live or anything. It's just playing something all the time, and people switch to it.
Well, a lot of satellite radio, there are channels that just play podcasts in order.
Yep. We looked into doing Sirius a long time ago. It wasn't worth the pain. Yep. It was too much of a hassle to conform to the standard to fit in the time slots and stuff.
They also support things like Stitcher. With Stitcher, what you can do is let's say you know that you drive an hour in the morning and an hour on the way home, right? With Stitcher, you can be like, yeah, I want to listen to the traffic for this area, then the weather, then this news guy, then this news guy, then, this, band, and then it basically puts together every day, the thing for you to listen to.
Stitcher's pretty cool. I've been using it on my pre through the beta and everything, and we should interview them, actually. I've emailed them a bunch of times.
Oh, did you?
Because way back when their podcast directory had almost nothing I wanted in it, I was like, your thing sucks, and I listed everything I wanted to listen to they didn't have. That day, they emailed me. They're like, those are all added. Anything else we should add?
Ah, nice.
And they're like, any suggestions? Anything? And they're like, yeah, it looks like you do a radio show, blah, blah, blah. So they're cool people.
Ah, alrighty.
Yeah. There's that mobile credit card swiper for the iPhone. Brilliant.
Yeah.
What can I say? Brilliant.
That's been around for a while. So
I know, but there was something about it here. They announced something about it at CES. I don't know what.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think this is a different one.
Oh.
Regardless, I look forward to the day to where everyone has a card scanner or the equivalent. And if I want to give money to Scott, I just swipe my card on his phone.
Why do we look at? I'm swiping a card into someone's phone, right? Why don't we just bump our phones together? Seriously.
Well, because Bluetooth and every information sharing thing like that has always been crippled by bullshit.
Yep.
And this swiping a credit card is the only thing that's not crippled by bullshit because the credit card companies want you to swipe it as much as possible. NVIDIA Ion demonstrated it's everything it lived up to be.
Well, that's what's in that Asus I was talking about.
Yeah.
Basically, if people still don't know, I've talked about it before, I think. The NVIDIA Ion is a GPU that's really cheap, right? It's not going to run the latest and greatest games, but
it'll probably play Half-Life.
It'll play old games, yeah, relative. It might even play Half-Life 2, who knows? But what it is a very low power, very inexpensive GPU. So what you can do is you can get a cheapo computer, like a netbook with the Intel Atom CPU.
We're talking a netbook that's you can make a computer that is the size of my 3 harmonicas sitting next to each other.
Well, maybe not that small.
I'm looking at a picture of one right now that's this big.
Oh, okay.
It's an entire computer.
So, and then you put the NVIDIA Ion GPU next to it. It doesn't use that much more electricity, so your battery life isn't going to get killed.
Yep.
Right? But you now have a GPU, which means that if you're going to use your netbook for things like watching Flash videos, right? Watching any sort of video that can be accelerated by the GPU, doing anything HD, doing anything with only a little bit of 3D in it, now you can do it. You can have a really low power, cheap, inexpensive, tiny computer that could actually play HD videos that you downloaded from iTunes or whatever. That is crazy. It's it's not like a Ferrari. It's it's almost like a Taurus SHO. It looks like a normal, slow, black car, but secretly, it's pretty fast. Not Ferrari fast, not Porsche fast, but Mustang fast, but doesn't look like a Mustang at all. It looks like a piece of crap.
There's the
only costs what a piece of crap costs.
Also, OpenPeak made an atom-powered, they call it the ProFrame VoIP phone. It's it's a businessy VoIP phone, like all those VoIP phones.
Have you seen TruePhone?
I believe, yes.
TruePhone, it's like TRU phone, and a lot of people in Europe use it. Apparently what it is I think it's an app you can get for most, I think it's on iPhone, it's on iPhone, Android, web, I forget which ones it's on and which ones it's not on, but they want it to be on all of them. And basically what it does is, you can, have Skype, and then you can call Skype people for free, but then you got to pay for anyone else.
But no, this is like a VoIP phone to replace my VoIP phone, the one up there. And every businessy VoIP phone has the old school interface that old school business people are used to. This one has a big color touchscreen, multi-touch icons, all the user interface that I want. My phone, if I want to dial someone's number and I don't know their number, I have to type their name in like I'm texting. It's just awful.
Now, what the TruePhone does is it lets you call Skype for free. It lets you call Gizmo for free. It lets you call whatever, anyone that it can call for free over some sort of VoIP. It will call for free. And if it has to use the actual phone lines, then they'll charge you money. But what they charge to call anyone in the U.S. on any phone, calls to any phone in the U.S. 3 cents a minute. So people in Europe are like, TruePhone, using that for my international calls. Or even, non-international calls, because it's just incredibly cheap for the, even when it does charge you money. And if it can make a free call for free, it will every single time, which is pretty awesome. So If you're looking to save money on lots of international calls, TruePhone.
I think we should wrap this up with perhaps the most important part of CES, the Engadget crap gadget.
Engadget. So yeah, Engadget goes around and they love to find, well, they have the Kerfs, right, which is the keeping it real fake, which is all like the thing that looks like an iPhone, but it's not an iPhone. But at CES, they do the crap gadget. They basically find gadgets that are crap. But
I don't know, those shoes that are ugly, high-heel, plastic pink shoes that are also speakers?
I think that they're only speakers. I don't think they're supposed to wear them.
Yeah, apparently everyone kept asking them, so do I wear them or what?
Yeah.
They're horrifyingly ugly.
I don't understand why you would want speakers that look like high-heel, shiny shoes.
There's that Fingerist, which is basically a giant, ugly keyboard to stick on your iPhone and then try to play it like a guitar.
I know.
Yeah, I see the picture of the iPhone screen, and they draw like a bunch of strings on it.
Yeah, I like the polar bear television set. It's a stuffed polar bear with a television on its side.
I think that's my favorite one.
That was the first one. It was the most obvious. But
what audience is that for? I mean, I could see like
I think you're supposed to use it in like a kid's room, to make like a cute TV. But they already have like the Mickey Mouse TV or whatever.
Or I guess I could see that being
you could get any television, just put a cute bezel on it. It's not.
I could see that being in the like den of some sort of ultra modern fancy apartment just because it's weird.
I could see it being in like the Safari Lodge as the TV set because it fits in.
There's that wrist cell phone holder.
But it's too cute.
It's like this wrist like holster for your cell phone. But the pictures of it show someone putting an entire freaking iPhone in there. It's like gigantic. It's like a wrist brace.
On my iPhone, might be wider than my wrist. Let me see.
Mine is a lot wider than my wrist.
Yeah, mine is definitely wider than my wrist. Look, you can see it.
My Pre is even wider than my wrist. Granted, I have tiny wrists.
I also have a very tiny wrist. Look.
One I don't get that's on here is it looks like a good idea. It's a tiny DV camera that police officers can wear like on their chest to record everything they're doing.
That's good.
Yeah, that's great. However, the company that makes it, they called it the Go Scam.
Okay. Not a very good name. You sure it's not like the Ghost Cam?
It says Go Scam. It just has really, really bad graphic design on the ad. It shows like this really old cop standing there with the thing kind of like photoshopped onto his... It's bad. But the product, I feel like by law, every police officer on active duty should have a camera recording everything they do while they're on duty, except maybe peeing.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
So,
I don't have a lot else to talk about CES-wise.
No, a lot of things went down at CES. You can go read all about them on the internet.
Yep, 3D was making a big jump, even though...
let's talk about some 3D.
All right, let's talk about that, because NVIDIA has been on the 3D boat forever, but no one knew.
Well, because that's one, they're looking for any area in which they can sell you something new. It's like, well, if we can get everyone to start making 3D games, and you need an NVIDIA card to play those games, in 3D at least, then we will be able to sell a lot of NVIDIA product, and then we can also sell glasses, where, that's what they're looking for. As far as 3D goes, I think that people are liking it right now because it is pretty awesome. If you're the kind of person that it doesn't make you sick. And the thing is, even people who complain about it making them sick, they go see it anyway and they say, "Oh man, it was awesome, but I got nauseous." Would you do it again? Yeah. It's like, okay. And second of all, people already have glasses. It's sort of problematic for them to wear other glasses.
Yeah, that's why they always make the things really big and you stick them in front.
And then there's the I've never been to one that has these, but some people go to the ones that have like the battery powered glasses.
Oh yeah, there's there's shutter glasses.
I've never used those ones.
There's the polarized ones. There's the red and blue ones. There's
so people talked about like the ones
with
the batteries. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? I've never seen one with a battery in my life, but I guess they exist.
People have said that those give you the most options. Like you can make the best 3D with the shutter glasses.
But how do you if it's shuttering open and closed all the time? Is that what it's doing?
Yeah, so fast that basically
so you can
and it synchronizes with the screen.
Oh, so you don't see black, see something, don't see something, see something, don't see something?
No, it flickers so fast that imagine if
Does it make noise while it's flickering?
I don't know. Imagine this. Imagine you've got a screen that's say 120 hertz and the shutter glasses are going in each eye at 120 hertz offset. And then the screen is flipping between the two images that together create the 3D in your eyes.
Do you have to synchronize the glasses with the projector?
I think there's a way to do that. I mean, I don't know a lot about the technology.
Yeah, it's something, I like the ones without the battery.
There are also multiple demos of different technologies of glasses-free 3D. Of course, the consensus so far has been that it's not that 3D.
Yeah.
And it's kind of blurry.
Basically, what seems to have happened here, right, is that Panasonic had a 3D TV, right, with an actual release date. Everyone else was sort of like, yeah, we're going to do 3D.
Well, because all the technology manufacturers realize that, look at Avatar. Look how crazy it is in the theaters. Even if people pirate the movie, they want to go into the theater to see the awesome 3D. Once people have 3D TVs, that gimmick disappears.
Something else really interesting is that apparently, like, it doesn't cost that much to add 3D to the TV. They can just sort of tack it on.
Yeah.
So if they can do something like that to sell everyone a new TV that they just sold them HD TVs, big money for them.
I wish this was going to happen a little bit sooner. I would wait until the 3D wave starts, and then I'd buy the best 2D TV money could buy.
A guy at work was looking actually at projectors, and he said that there was a 1080p projector with 3D abilities that was actually cheaper than a 1080p projector that didn't have 3D.
The only reason I'm not getting a projector just yet is that a 52-inch TV is as big as I need in the room anyway. A projector would just be overkill.
Also, a projector is very annoying because you have to put all the equipment in the back and then get the wiring and it's a pain.
That would be fine because I wouldn't put anything in the front. I don't have a Wii.
I guess.
There'd be nothing in the front. The problems are, one, the blacks aren't that black, and I'm not going to get that expensive Sony thing with the black screen.
I don't even know if that's still around anymore.
It's got to be somewhere, or that technology. And two, the bulbs do burn out. So you need to have a projector and a TV, and you only use the projector for like movies, and the TV for like playing my video games.
Right, but personally, like I'm not, I'm only partially excited about 3D. It's like, yeah, it would be pretty cool if I could watch like a hockey in 3D. But I'm not going to pay money for that for a very long time.
However.
And glasses.
Imagine.
It's like I got to buy all these glasses. And
Think about the immersion of playing
an
an FPS that just has natural 3D while you're playing.
Yeah, it'd be pretty good.
I wouldn't spend $1,000 on it, but
no, I'm not going to buy all new monitors.
Nah, but what I would do is I would just upgrade when it was time to upgrade, and I'd get 3D.
Yeah, I foresee, it's like they're making a big 3D push now, but remember the initial HD push, right, was like in the late 90s. Right, and it wasn't until like the late 2000s that everyone's got HD, or at least a lot of people have HD, and not even the majority have it yet. So, and no one cares about Blu-ray or anything, and a lot of people are putting standard def content into their HD TVs. So, I think it'll be probably 10 years before a lot of people actually have 3D. As many as have HD now, and before there's like a standard, and there's a lot of actual, 3D content.
Yeah, well, look, the real drive right now, like all the trends are toward digital distribution. That is going to take precedence over even high def. And I think a lot of people are more interested in getting media easier than getting high quality media. I mean, look how, people watch entire movies and TV shows on YouTube.
Yeah.
People are willing to put up with really bad quality. They just want the content. And they're not even willing to pay for the content.
Yeah. They're much more excited about a boxy box than they are about a 3D TV.
A Goatsy projector.
Yeah.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.